right, we'll get started. First questions from Matt Venzel. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Mark, how has the sheer number of absences of players affected how you do camping? I mean, I'm sure some of these guys would be working over with like Casey and Emil, but you probably didn't expect to be down 10 players. Has that affected how you've done things at all, whether it's the practices or the scrimmages?
Actually, not really. We were kind of prepared for a little bit of everything. So we had a plan for whether we were going to go two separate sessions or whether we're going to go as just our 14 forwards and 8 defensemen. So it really didn't change a whole lot. We were kind of prepared for any situation, which was good. And so it didn't really throw a loop for too much for us at all.
Next question is from Seth. Go ahead.
Hi, Mark. Teddy Blueger's a guy who took the long way to the NHL, was drafted in 2012, spent 4 years college, 4 years in Wilkes-Barre Scranton. You oversaw some of his development when you were the development coach. How far has he come as a professional hockey player in the time that you've known him?
Well, I saw him probably in I guess it was maybe his second year in when he was up at college. And yeah, he's definitely come a long ways. But I talked to his coach then, and he said it was incredible how hard he worked, and he was working on his skating every day. He's such a competitive young man, and you could see his hockey sense. He had really good hockey sense. He was a willing skater, which is something, the skating didn't bother me as much because he was willing and he was willing to work at it. When you have a work ethic like that, it's going to come around, and he's going to do whatever it takes to get to the next level. And that next level was Wilkes-Barre, and then he just continued to grow. And he's turned into such a terrific player, and he's an important piece for our hockey club.
Okay, the next question is from Wes Crosby. Go ahead, Wes.
Hey, Mark, thanks for doing this. The team played without at least one key guy through most of the regular season. In retrospect, how much could that experience help the group if they do have to play without a guy like Sid or Patrick Hornquist or anyone else that might get hurt?
Yeah, you know what? We've dealt with it, and the guys just know they got to just play. And as much as we miss those guys during the course of the year, I think there was some benefits to it as well, where we really, we had to really grow as a team and play together as a team, and we couldn't rely on high end skill. And now that we got everybody here, it's going to be a great thing where we can, just everybody just buys into playing the right way and doing the right things, and we can just just keep getting better and better for that. And I think you hate to have injuries during the course of the year, but in this instance, I think we grew as a group because of that.
Next question's from Dayon. Go ahead.
Rexy, we wouldn't be doing our jobs if we didn't ask about Sid not being out there. Do you have any expectation that he would be that he might be available tomorrow? Anything? I'm trying, man.
Yes. Trying the wrong guy.
Okay.
I'm not privy to those things, so I think with the way the league's the stance right now. So, sorry about that.
Next question's from Mike DeFabo. Go ahead, Mike.
Hey, Mark. I'm curious if you can relate to Patrick Marleau at all. Both in 2006, you waived a no-trade clause to go to a contender, then ultimately ended up winning a Stanley Cup. And then late in your career, you announced you were going to retire, and then it seemed like you came back looking to hoist that cup one last time. Just what are both of those situations like, and what do you think it's like for Patrick Marleau right now?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of similarities. I mean, obviously, I won early in my career, but to get an opportunity to win, but that's ultimately what we play for. And he's had a tremendous career. We were very similar. Like we were, top 6 forwards for a long time. Then as you get a little bit older, you learn to play in a different role and learn to accept a different role and really just help your teammates and just try and be a piece of that puzzle to win a championship. And that's what Patrick's going to bring with us. He's got a wealth of experience. He's He's a terrific person. He's a great teammate, and he's still a really good player for us. And we look at him with him and Jared right now, and with Rodriguez right now we have or Hornquist, whoever ends up on that right side it's going to be it's going to be a very important line for us. And with those guys, we just think we have an advantage over teams because of players like Patrick.
If I can just follow up on that, what's the value in having somebody who's a little bit older in your locker room? Like, what did you feel like you brought to the locker room then, and what in that department do you feel like Patrick's bringing?
Well, you bring experience and you bring calmness as well. I think like some guys can get jittery, and I think a guy like Patrick's going to be a huge benefit for Jared McCann. Jared McCann's a young guy who's has ups and downs, and he gets hard on himself, and I think having a guy like that on his line is going to be very, very important, and even just for for our leadership for them to lead. Patrick's been seen a lot, and as our captains, and but it's still nice to have an extra guy that's been through the grind, and he's been to the Stanley Cup final, obviously, so he knows what playoffs hockey is all about, and he's been really good in playoffs. So it's just another guy that can just people lean on, and we can lean on as coaches, and the leaders in the group can lean on him as well.
Next question's for Michelle. Go ahead, Michelle.
Hey Rex, I know it's only one scrimmage, but Zucker, Malkin, and Russ seem to have some chemistry right away. I mean, what do you guys like about Jason on that line with those two guys?
Well, I think they've I think it's been a little adjustment at first for Zucks, just to try and find a way to play with Gino, but I don't think it took very long. I mean, obviously, when you have a talented centerman like that, you just play simple, and you go up and down and use his speed, and Zucks has great hockey sense as well, so he's figured it out pretty quick, and that can be such a special line for us, and both tremendous speed, both guys can score on Gino's wings, and they have both have hockey sense, so it's exciting for us to watch that. To see them grow some chemistry together and have a good scrimmage. I mean, it's always good to have a good scrimmage, regardless. I think it helps kind of build confidence as a line, and Gino's been terrific through this whole thing, even in informal skates and through this training camp. Gino's been amazing how well he's really taken a leadership role in this, and it's been really fun to watch.
Next question's from Matt Venzel. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Mark, specifically with Jason Zucker on the power play, what do you guys like about him? It looks like he might be able to fill a couple of different roles for you guys if needed, but what about his skill set could potentially help you guys out there?
Well, there's no question. I mean, he's got the skill set. He's got a great release, shooting wise. But like I said, when you have hockey sense, he can play net front. He can play the pocket. He can play on the wall, on the flanks, anywhere you really need him. And we've got a number of those guys, which is great. So that should be able to make the power play have a little bit more movement, where it's like players aren't stuck in certain spots, and you can have a little bit of rotation, a little bit of movement, and I think that can help power plays as well. And like, he's smart enough to realize, okay, I got to get net front, or I got to pop into the pocket and take advantage of his skill and his release, and then kind of go from there. So they can all, kind of read off each other.
And the last question's from Seth. Go ahead, Seth.
Mark, when you look at the line of Teddy, Brandon, and Zach, how different of a fourth line is that compared to maybe some of the fourth lines that you played against in the 90s or the 2000s? It seems like the definition or the expectations of a fourth line have changed quite a bit in recent years.
Yeah, and you know what? They're obviously they're third lines on a lot of teams in the NHL, and they're just a terrific line, and they've really built some chemistry through the course of the year. But the way Sully uses his lines, he really relies on that so-called fourth line to start a lot in the D zone. You look at the years with Matt Cullen, 16 and 17, won championships with Tommy Kunako, Fair the 1 year. He really relies on those lines and play those really hard minutes, those hard shifts, and it gives Gino and Sid an opportunity, gives them a break. So they're starting in the offensive zone, 80, 90% of the time, which is where we want them. And, you know, so they can play against any line. We can play them against anybody. And, you know, Sully trusts them and he believes in them. And they've earned that. They work hard. They're just a unique group together. They you know, they compete hard. They push each other and they you know, demand each other to be good as a line. And it's really fun to watch. And you know, they're an important part of our piece. You know, they kind of were a little bit of our identity when we had all the injuries. They were kind of our identity, how we played as a team was where we kind of followed that group of guys or those three guys and, you know, how we played. And we were stingy defensively. But we still were able to score goals and create a lot of offense from just being really, really tight defensively and playing the right way.